purge options, and then there's something called remove duplicate insurance companies. This will automatically get rid of anything that's not connected to an employer, all right, or connected to an open claim. I think that's the easiest way to put it. If it's not connected to an open claim, it will get rid of all the duplicate insurance companies that are the same name, address, and phone numbers. So it's not going to work if I do this. But if I hit begin deletion, it will actually delete anything that's not connected to a claim.
Sir.
Go for it. Yeah.
So will it get rid of, even though, like, say that Dr. Taylor has had, numerous patients in the past and their accounts are inactivated, but they still have the insurance attached to their account? It doesn't allow you to get rid of those insurances unless you take it off of their account. Is that correct? Because it shows that somebody is still using the insurance.
No, but that's separate. It wouldn't let you get rid of their employer, but it will let you get rid of what this will actually do is it, and I don't know if you can read all that fine print, but what it'll actually do is it'll actually look at duplicate insurance companies and combine those that it can, as long as there's no open claims. And in the example you gave, imagine it's a patient that was there 20 years ago and there's no open claims to that person and no open predeterminations. It could actually combine a bunch of those, insurance companies together and make one good one.
Okay.
All right. So, and that's why I say try this first, because this is kind of low-hanging fruit. It's almost like picking up the apples that are on the ground and then starting to reach up for the apples that are in the tree.
Okay.
So if we begin this deletion process, it'll get rid of some and give you a list of all those that it couldn't get rid of. Right.
Okay.
So then the next step would be to go back into your list, go back to your insurance companies, and now they're going to all be named Delta Dental of Texas or whichever one you're going to work on. And I always say, start working on the ones that are the most viable in your office. Like, what's your biggest employer in the area? And if you said to me, oh, it's our school district or the local hospital system or whatever it is, start with that one. Start with the one that's going to be most important to you, and then you can work backwards. So once they are all together and they all have the same name, what I do is, if you can see this Delta Dental of PA with a plus sign after it, I put a plus sign after the one I know is the good one. And I've gone through and I've edited and make sure the PO box is correct and the address, the phone number is good, and that I have a good claim payer ID. So I know that this one is a good Delta Dental version, and I know that my claims are going out and everything's working properly using this particular one. Then what I do with the others is I go through the process of making the other ones called copy. All right. So I have a good one with a plus sign and all the bad ones with the word copy after it. And the reason I put copy like that and I push it as far to the margin as I can is when we get to the employers, I'll show you how to clean up the employers. So imagine I had a whole list of Guardian or MetLife or whatever, and I had one good one called MetLife with a plus sign and all the other duplicates with copy after it. The next step is I'm going to go to my list and my employers, and I'm going to look down this blank column right here. See how this area is blank down there? And I'm just going to scroll until I see the word copy, and I don't see one because I've already cleaned this up. So let me just grab this one and edit it. I'm going to change this to the copy just so you can see what I'm talking about. So what I'm doing is looking down this blank column to the right of the insurance company names until I see the word copy. So like that. And I know that that's with a bad insurance company. And I'm going to edit that and I'm going to change it to the good one, the one with the plus sign. And now that I have nobody connected to that bad insurance company, that copy, I can go back to my list, insurance companies, find that copy. And if I'm not allowed to use the delete button, so again, sometimes it won't let you to delete an insurance company if there's open claims, if there are pending predeterminations, things like that. Sometimes it won't let you delete it. So what I'll do is I'll just inactivate it. and at
Okay.
least get it out of my list. So if you do run into something, you'll get a warning that says this insurance company cannot be deleted because they're open claims. Even if you know that there's no open claims or no open predeterminations, just inactivate it to get it off of your list. All right, so I'm going to inactivate it. And now it's still on my list, but it's sort of grayed out because I have here show inactives. So ultimately you can say, don't show my inactives. And now I've got my list down to just the good ones that I'm using. So it's a process. It's going to take some time. And over time, you're going to see that you're going to have a bunch of the copies on here. But, you know, like I said, if you hide them, you won't have to worry about it. But you'll know in the end that if it says, you know, Guardian with a plus sign, Delta Dental with a plus sign, MetLife with a plus sign, that you've got some good ones in your list. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Cool. So now let's talk about the employers. Same thing with my employers. We're going to go to our employer list. We're going to make sure that all of our employers have the plus sign next to it. You can see I can tell these are all good employers with good insurance companies connected to them. We're going to look at our employers, and I'm going to edit this AARP. And notice how my AARP has March 19th behind it. That lets me know that the last time that I've edited or updated this information attached to the AARP was in March of 2019. Well, that doesn't help me because that means that information is at least a year old now. So I need to call the insurance company or go online or whatever you guys do to verify benefits and update that date to be a March of 2019 date. So imagine I call and I get the benefit breakdown and I find out now they have a $25 deductible and I've done all my due diligence on this account. I'm going to change this now to March of 2020. And now when I look at my list and I see my AARP there for 2020, I know that that is a good plan. And I know that this one needs to be updated and that one needs to be updated and that one down there needs to be updated. So I can quickly look at my list of employers and I can tell when those employers have been last updated. You know, again, if I were doing an audit in any of the offices I work with, I can come look at this list and find out how much information has been updated in their employer list. You know, obviously, we should have most of these should have a 2020 date on them. And if they don't have a 2020 date, imagine if I was looking at this one, and this is 5 of 19. Imagine this was a 2017 date. I know automatically nobody from that employer has been in since 2017. And I can go through the process of taking that off of some patients and deleting this employer or inactivating the employer, whatever I need to do. So I can quickly look at this list and see how up to date my list of employers are just by a quick glance. Well, let's go back to my AARP. And let's pick this Conseco Construction. So Conseco Construction, it has a couple of different things written here. It has PID, which automatically lets me know that we need a patient ID number instead of a social security number for anybody who works at this company. The NA lets me know that there's no assignment of benefit, that the check's going to go to the patient. The NE lets me know that there is no eligibility available through this employer. And 319 lets me know the last time it's been updated. And because my MetLife doesn't have a plus sign after it, lets me know that I don't know if that's actually the correct MetLife. And maybe I need to do some digging around to make sure that this is the correct address and the claim payer ID is all correct. So I need to do some cleaning up with this, but just on a quick glance, I can tell that the patient ID number is needed when I work with this patient or anybody who comes from that employer. Does that make sense to you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And again,
I'm gonna just real quick question because
sure.
I'm not afraid of answering dumb questions because remember I'm just the dentist.
That's okay.
It's okay. So the update the update is something we should be initiating like annually or so.
Yeah, and here's what I always tell offices. You know, if you're in network with plans, you probably want to update your employers about every year. I mean, because things don't change that dramatically from year to year when you're in network. All right. When you're out of network, it's going to change a little bit quicker. And, you know, once a year would be, you know, enough, but you really should be checking benefits pretty quickly. But what I would say is, if I've got somebody coming from this Conseco construction and they're having some crown and bridge work done, we're not just talking about a checkup. We're talking, where there's a sizable co-payment and that kind of stuff. If that's the case, then I want to make sure that I'm going to find that information out to find out, we're going to be doing this crown. They're going to have let's call it $400 to $500 to $600 co-payment. Am I right in the estimation that I'm doing? And if so, this 3 of 19 is not a good indicator. Just like if you're looking at a health history form and it's March of 19 and the person's in their 60s, it's probably a good time to update their medical history.
Yeah.
So, because maybe they were on Lobodox and now they're on warfarin, or they're on, something else. So we need to find out what's going on with this patient. So finding a date that's a year old is a good indication that it's time to update.
Okay.
And I'll show you from a clinical side, because typically what's going to happen is the clinical team is going to be looking from the patient's chart. So I'm just going to open up this guy's odontograph, their chart, and show you what I always tell my clinical team to do is, when you're in this chart, and hopefully everybody's working from this chart, when you're in this chart, there's an insurance button right here on the right side. If you hit that button, it tells you right here, this guy works for the US government in the Army. Now, there's no date there, so I have no idea when this was last updated. So if I'm in the back and I'm talking to this patient about some crown and bridge work, or talking about, we've got to do scaling and route planning, or whatever it is, and I'm looking at this, I'm thinking to myself, okay, they work for the government, but this plan has not been updated in any time since we started our new protocol for putting dates in. So I'm not real comfortable giving an estimate or even writing a treatment plan, because I don't know that the number is going to come back accurate. But I can look down here and see my prophies per year. This would be prophies at 2, at 100%, frequency is 2 per year. I'd be able to see these notes. And again, how much weight do I put in it? I don't know, because it hasn't been updated recently. So I would have somebody do some digging to find out what's going to be covered here. But from this little view, I can see their deductible, their remaining benefits. I can see what insurance company. I can even see percentages by category down here. So the clinicals team can quickly look at this information from the chart. But again, my sort of red flag would be, well, this data is pretty old, so I'm not sure how accurate it is.
Okay.
That give you an idea?
Yeah. Now, Andre, I'm hoping that I will be able to see more of this when we watch the video over again. But for some reason, my phone is not showing everything that you're showing us.
Okay.
So I hope that's not a problem on your end. It's just maybe just the way my phone is.
Yeah, not a problem. And like I said, you'll get I'm going to try to get this back out, by this afternoon. So you'll see it.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that we should be able to see in that. And you've got a good question about how often should insurances be updated. It should be updated with every new patient who comes in. So we're verifying their benefits. So again, like I said, using the example of the school district in your area or the big hospital system in your area, every time one of those patients comes in, we're probably verifying that they have benefits. All right. And if we are, we could be putting a date in there. So again, somebody comes in, Bob Smith comes in from the local hospital. We put in his benefit information and we put a March of 2020 date on there. So we know that plan's been updated. And what will happen is everybody who has that plan, all the other hundreds of patients who come in who have that plan, are now updated. Okay. And that's just going to roll. Everybody who comes in, the next fireman who comes in, we're going to update the local fire department and everything else. And it's going to go on and on and on and on. And the great thing is, from that list of employers, we're going to be able to quickly see what employers have been updated and which haven't. And if we start to see over time, when we get to January of 2021, and we start to see 2019 date, well, we won't see that, but 2020 dates, we'll know which things need to be updated and which things are pretty new. Make sense?
Yes. Very good.
So, are you in network or out of network with, say, like Guardian?
Out. No.
We're out of network with Guardian. We're in network with MetLife and
MetLife.
United Fortia.
Okay. Well, the one great thing about MetLife is MetLife actually sends out annually a fee schedule. So that's one of the easiest ones to get updated.
Okay.
Because they do provide you with a fee schedule, and it makes it easier because if we look at this, here's my groovy records here. If I look at this employer, I have my MetLife fee schedule right there, and MetLife, I can tell MetLife fee schedule was updated on January 15th, 2020. So I know that fee schedule is accurate. I know that my employer, well, is a little over a year old, hasn't been updated since February of 2019. But if we put the fee schedule into the system, we can get very, very accurate outcomes when it comes to, writing treatment plans, having a walkout done. It makes things a whole lot easier.
Okay.
So do you guys have any other questions about that?
Any questions?
No, I was gonna actually show you like that. Well, whenever we get off the phone, I can show you because that's already like being like utilized. If you go and look in their patients,
Mhm.
I'm instead of doing pluses, I'm doing asterisks.
Okay.
And so
That's fine. Perfect.
I'm making sure that because what was going on, I think the reason why there's so many insurance ones is because they were just being added, but no group number was being like applied. And so it was a bunch of the same things and they had the same insurance, but there was no way to link them all like with a group number, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
I went ahead and I updated group numbers, the name of employers, the group name, the deductibles, maximums, and all of that. And I put 2 asterisks to know like this is the correct one to use. And so trying to make sure like that everybody is on that same plan.
Perfect. And again, that you got it right. It's really about consistency. If you start building consistency in the way that your nomenclature works, the way that everything is consistent with the way you put it in there over time, it usually takes about a year, but over time, what happens is you'll start to notice the things that are just not right, the things that were done prior to putting those things in place. And that's the only way to do it is just to constantly clean. It's literally, it's weeds. I mean, you're dealing with trying to, as the weeds pop up, you got to pull them,
Right.
So good that you're doing that. Yeah, whatever way works for you, the asterisks, plus signs, whatever works. And you're doing that both with your employer names and your insurance companies?
Yeah, like the employer, like with here we have employer like the San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District. They all have MetLife.
Okay.
So that's like how we kind of link, I guess, the two together.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll put like asterisks like after the I guess it's the employer's name. So whenever you see them and the patient's chart, sometimes like if it's not too long, you'll see like the asterisks on there as well.
Okay. Well, just be aware that the problem is in a year from now, the asterisks will be on everybody and you still won't know the last time it's been updated.
Okay.
So that's why, and again, that's why I can quickly look at this and imagine if this was yours and I'm pointing to one employer and it's got my date after it. If it just had an asterisk, yes, it might have been done in 2020, but now we're in 2022 and who knows when's the last time it's been updated.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why I use the date codes. I use the plus signs after my employers. And again, the same, you could do the same with an asterisk. I do that after my insurance companies because insurance companies, for the most part, aren't going to change. And if they do, it's going to change a PO box and then probably won't change again for another 10 years. And what I do for a lot of offices is I will actually go to list security profiles, go through my security profiles and actually turn off the ability to create new insurance companies. Only the administrator can make new insurance companies in my world because there aren't any new insurance companies. More than likely, you've got more than you could possibly need. So I usually turn off the ability for everybody to make insurance companies. And that way, we have less of an issue with people recreating the wheel. I don't want to turn off the ability to create new employers, but at least for insurance companies, we can turn that off at this point. If you've been using the software for any period of time, you might as well turn that feature off.
Okay.
Yep. So does that make sense for you guys? Does that help at all?
Yes, absolutely.
So, and like I said, if we utilize the time that we have during this crisis and we, can clean up these lists when we're open and now we're lean and mean so that everybody walking through our estimations are correct. We can utilize information that we worked on this time. When they start coming back in, they're standing at the desk and we can spit out, your crown is X, your copayment is Y, and this is what we're sending to insurance. So we have less, billing that we have to do, that kind of stuff. And we're dead on with our numbers.
Right. Well, I know I watched one of your webinars with I forgot her name, but she was with the Patterson technical technology. And y'all talked about how about how we actually get charged more if there's certain information. I forgot what it was. I'll have to rewatch it. But if something's not in there, there's like
the claim payer ID.
The claim payer ID. It's
so
like still it's a nickel.
It's a whole lot. I mean, if you just think about the volume of claims that we send out, I mean, just for hygiene, a typical hygienist sees 800 patients a year. 2 hygienists, you're talking 1,600 patients a year. And we send in claims, just say 1,600 times a year for just hygiene patients. And if we're talking about a nickel each, that's a good chunk of change. I mean, that's at least, that's pizza money, So yeah, it's if you go into your insurance company list, and again, this is something as I put those plus signs or asterisks, I'm looking at the claim payer ID to find out if they have, and I'll show you on my screen if you can see it, the claim payer ID list. If you see that number 06126, that's basically a generic ID number. So that's almost, imagine if every patient that came in the practice, we didn't look for an ID number. We just put 99999 in for their ID number. So the insurance company would have to look them up. Imagine if the insurance companies would charge us a nickel more every time they processed a claim. That's exactly what's happening if you're putting that 06126 in. And you can get the list of claim payers, and this is what Diana from the PTC was talking about. If you click on the little picture frame on your desktop of the software,
where am I?
You click on the picture frame and you left click and you go down to FAQ, which is frequently asked questions. All right.
Okay.
It'll actually bring up a search box. And in that search box, if you type in claim payer ID, you'll actually find all of your claim payer ID. See, this says claim payer ID changes list as of March 2020. And the entire list is there. What I typically do is I just download that payer list and save it on my desktop so that I can search for them as I need them. It actually brings up a PDF and it becomes searchable. So all of the insurance companies are there and their claim payer IDs. So let's just say MetLife. That's what we were talking about. So there's MetLife, and that is their claim payer ID 65978. So I just saved this entire document to my desktop so I can quickly find it and use it as I need it. It does get updated every month, but not by much. There are not too many changes that happen to it. So, and I'll put a link to that claim payer ID in the Facebook group, so you'll have it.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right.
So what else can you think of, guys, while you have me?
Oh my gosh. Anything? What else can we think of?
I think that's pretty much.
I think we're pretty much doing everything. It's just labeled differently.
Yeah.
So once we label it, and then we can get rid of all of the inactive, all the ones that were the duplicates, and then get rid of the selves plans.
Right. We got a number of selves, and I know that's a cardinal sin.
Yeah, and just be aware that there are some plans that are self plans. I mean, I own my own business just like Dr. Taylor does, but you know, if we walk into your office as a patient, we're not going to say, "Oh, we work for self." We work for Dr. Taylor. We work for Crew Process. You know, so there are some plans that have names, but we could have also gone out and bought small business association plans. All right, and those plans would be written out as SBA or Small Business Association. So although it is listed as self, you might be able to find some that are duplications of the same plan. You know, AARP is a self plan, and but we're used to calling it AARP. So you might be able to find some continuity in some of those and combine them, you know. But don't be worried that they're called self. Just try to figure out if there's some that you can figure out why they are self. You know, are they self because it's, you know, some sole proprietor bought it, or did they buy a plan that was a individual plan through Aetna? You know, and I usually just name those Aetna individual plans. So
okay. Now, what if you had a like, you know, it's becoming more popular, and we used to do, we just have a few patients on it now, but you know, we had our own little kind of in-office club, you know, I mean, for some of our patients. Is that something we'd put in there, or?
Yeah, and I have a whole, and I'll link this in the video too. But I have a whole page devoted to how to set up the in-office membership plans, and I do set those up as an employer,
Okay.
because remember, in Eaglesoft, it's not just employer; it's employer/coverage, and a in-house plan is a coverage format. So I put it there so that I can track them. It's a whole lot easier to track them, but I will put a link to that whole how-to sheet in there. But yeah, I think that's the wave of the future, and I have more and more offices that are doing that. I think it's a great way to become less insurance dependent.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank
Andre,
you guys.
I'm sure appreciate you, and I'm sure glad we found you.
I'm happy to help, and I can't wait to get back on the road. I was supposed to be going to Texas in a couple weeks, and obviously that's got rescheduled. But hopefully, I'll get a chance to meet you guys in person soon.
Oh, I love it. All right, Andre,
Thanks, guys.
have a great Tuesday.
You too now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.